Alright, let's drink some coffee.
Sweet, let's do that. Hey guys, welcome to episode 9 of Coffeehouse. I'm sorry to say I got a little throat thing going on, so hopefully the coffee will cure me. Thinking the show must go on.
You should add some honey to your coffee. Or
yeah, that'd be nice.
That might
I don't think I have any honey, so didn't think that far ahead. Today I've got a little bit of a fancier bag of coffee. Maybe no more fancy than what we've been drinking. This is
well, I don't know. It doesn't have the tasting notes on there, so how fancy?
That's how you know. That's right. I mean, it's actually called. It's from the Frothy Monkey Roasting Company, which is out of Nashville, and it's a French roast. And I went ahead and got a little sniff off camera, and it smelled really good. So
I will say the packaging is very fancy. It's got this nice, sleek feel to it.
It is. Yeah. I don't know if you can get this outside of the state. I don't know where they
maybe. I mean, they probably sell them online as well, in addition to.
Yeah, it's gonna be really good. Today, guys, we're gonna be talking about kendama slumps, kind of getting out of them, and just for you, Keegan, we're gonna talk a little bit about how to grow your local kendama scene, a 2-in-1 type of episode, and in a fun way, they kind of go together.
Yeah.
So we're gonna go ahead and do that. Went and added a new plant this morning to the scene. Her name is Juanita.
Juanita. Is that from the 100?
No, it's from Lowe's.
I believe it's a dark roast, from what I can tell, and I'd say it's a blend. Actually, it does have the countries of origin there on the side.
Yeah, I didn't mention that. It's from both South America and Central America. More specifically than that, I read Peru, which I think we've had one that's actually from Peru, but I can't remember which one that is. I don't know, but I love the name Frothy Monkey. I don't know exactly what that means to me.
I don't know either, but I believe in Nashville and Chattanooga, different parts of Tennessee, they actually have restaurants.
Restaurants?
Yeah, and so I
went... not a coffee shop, but a restaurant.
It's a restaurant that sells coffee. But I believe maybe the coffee came first, and they're like, hey, we should sell food too. We do this coffee thing so well.
I would never ever be able to run a restaurant / coffee shop.
4 minutes on the clock.
It's just not for me. Yeah, so hit me with some facts about a kendama slump. What is a kendama slump?
Kendama slump, maybe you've heard the term, maybe someone else has said it. Basically, a kendama slump comes from maybe a roadblock or some form of not progressing, maybe just feeling down on whatever your progression, or maybe you, of course, like see through Instagram, maybe other people are just like landing these crazy tricks and you feel like, oh man, why can't I do that? And so I think that would be the kendama slump.
It's kind of like a period of discouragement.
Maybe a plateau.
Yeah, a plateau. Yeah. We are in the gym quite a lot, as many of you can tell. And and a common theme for gym life is if you're lifting weights. I mean, it's probably true with running as well and other things.
Yeah.
That you can hit a plateau. And what happens during there is you get stuck at a particular weight or a particular time if you're running, for example, or swimming. And you have to break through that in some capacity to continue improving and growing and getting better. And I think a lot of the same techniques for dealing with a slump in fitness you can actually apply to kendama.
Yeah, and anything really.
That's right, yeah, really just anything. And so there's some general advice and that kind of thing. But like you said, I think the biggest reason it happens, it depends on, I would say, two types of people. Maybe you yourself, and this is how I would identify, is you challenge yourself more than anything else, and you kind of compete against yourself on things. I used to play tennis a lot from middle school through high school, and to me it felt like more that you were competing with yourself than you were even competing with the person you're playing against, because you had areas that you wanted to improve on, you had issues that you were dealing with, and so it's the you versus yourself. And then the other type of person I'd say you could be is that you compare to other people. And I think this is probably the worst place to be, because
Yeah, because
it's just too many variables.
So many variables.
If you compare yourself to Alex Mitchell, who just is a savage, you're going to feel bad. I mean, there's just no way around it. And I think like just having your feelings at stake alone is like bad for your. I mean, mentally it's just bad for you, but like in terms of kendama progression, it hurts you really badly too.
Yeah. Plus, I mean, I guess going along with the concept of a slump. Anyone who feels like they are in a slump, it comes from, I don't know, maybe just feeling stale in whatever you're doing, or maybe a slump isn't just like I'm not progressing, maybe it's like I'm not enjoying it the same way I was when I first started, and so we'll kind of go through some things to help get you through that and hopefully prevent you from, or I guess hopefully some advice to prevent you from like burning out. Through that slump or whatever.
I like that you kind of talked about how, I mean literally just right then, talking about how the slump could also not have to do with comparison, but also just be routine. I mean, maybe it's just doing the same thing. I mean, you hear of people getting into slumps, especially like out of high school, out of college. You're now in, say, a working career, and the milestones have kind of resituated itself. It's kind of open-ended if you don't set your own goals and that kind of thing. Then when you're out of school, it's not like, okay, I'm out of middle school in 8th grade, I'm out of high school in my senior year, I'm out of college if I want to do 4 years, and then master's, you know, it's kind of, you've got this like pathway. Well, when you're out into your real world life, I mean, it's kind of like if you're working for a particular job or anything, it's kind of like, what does my career look like? Am I going to be moving around any? And some people don't think about it. And what happens is, you hear about somebody who's 45, 50, kind of getting up there in their age, and they're in a slump. You know, and that doesn't necessarily have to do with your capabilities or something like that, but simply routine.
Absolutely.
Which is kind of funny because you think about one of the important things of kendama and improvement is just consistency. So it's kind of like a funny like.
I mean, and again, it's just with everything you do. I mean, you can get burnout on learning to play the piano. There you go. Get that final. Press in.
I bought that Frothy Monkey myself. I'm going to get every last drop. Wow, the color of that. Can we admire that? Look at the color. It's not greenish, but it's like
it's
orange.
Green. It's like green. That is weird.
That's really interesting, and that's like the color of the packaging. What do you have any thoughts about how that will impact the taste? For some reason, that I don't expect flour.
I thought it was a dark roast, but.
Maybe it's a medium roast.
Green is, you know, the bean before it's roasted.
True.
So I'm curious to know if that somehow is. Maybe it's a light roast.
I think for me, I just off the smell, I was kind of pulled towards, and I know I'm probably wrong, but like some nuttiness, some kind of like.
I got chocolate,
earth.
and that's not just because every single tasting.
All we smell now is chocolate. I can't go anywhere without smelling chocolate.
I'm waiting to dink it.
Dink me, baby. Sink me, baby. Wait, need more. I can't tell if my throat's screwing up my taste buds.
Oh, definitely.
6 boy hours.
The way you said it too is like, I don't know.
I know, I got caught. I know. It's like the coffee's coming back. Here you go, Juanita. You would like a sip.
Poor Juanita.
Now, drinking this again, I'm thinking it's actually a dark roast again.
Yeah, it's a dark roast.
To me, it's like, okay, actually, this is one I would say probably would have the tasting note bold. It's just like, it's a very strong something. It's not flowery like the Congo or like Ethiopia. And I think it was Ethiopia. And it's not fruity.
I wonder why it's called a French roast.
That's gotta be what it has
If it's from
to be.
South and Central America, why is it called a French roast?
It has to do with the tasting notes.
Food for thought.
I'm gonna do a little research.
Coffee bean for thought. I don't know. I would almost side that it's more on the fruity side than the floral side.
I don't think that either of those is within the consideration.
It smells a lot like chocolate.
Okay, this is interesting. Okay. Here we go. You ready? Oh wow! I read it. Whenever you Google something, it shows something on the like description, and then you open the page, and it's just not visible in the same way.
Yeah. I'm trying to even us out on the screen over here.
Well, this is a fair trade coffee. It's a South and Central American blend, which is what we said. Hard beans, coffee, and I don't like the sound of this. Roasted until most of the essential oils rise to the surface. I've got a bad vibe about essential oils.
Well, do they roast it with essential oils?
Out of the bean.
Or are the oils from the beans essential to the coffee process?
A classic roast, perennially favored in continental Europe.
That's not a perennial, but...
Yeah, I don't know why they didn't give me some more information than that.
Come on,
I know,
Frothy.
I know.
Come on, Frothy.
Well, what I thought was interesting is when I was reading the description out on Google or whatever, I was reading, because what I Googled was Frothy Monkey French Roast, so you should be getting the French roast.
Yeah.
So what I saw was half is roasted dark to bring out bold and bittersweet flavors, which I was feeling proud about because I felt like we did a good job there. But then it says, while the other half is roasted light to emphasize sweetness. And I clicked through, and that's talking about their house blend.
See, look, what are you doing, Frothy?
You guys do better. No, sorry, that was their decaf.
I will say, before I ground the beans, because we do that ahead of time now, just before we start recording, some of the beans were bigger, some were smaller.
Really?
Of course, it is a blend, so that makes sense, right? Just depending on what blend you have.
Or where the beans came from.
And where the beans come from, that kind of thing.
Because they would affect the size, like if they had a drought or something, or like, who knows.
Yeah. So, patience is a virtue. Don't grind beans until you're ready to brew. That's what we do here at the coffee house.
I should have brought on set how I keep my coffee. I don't know if you looked over.
I did. I actually thought about it. We'll bring it in for episode 10.
Yeah. So
bring in the big.
We wanted to talk about this topic today because I felt like we should get close to the end of the season on a very positive note.
Yeah.
And so I wanted to end positively talking about how to keep thoughts positive and that kind of thing. But sorry, I just thought of that because we're talking about the season, which is on my mind. But what I keep my coffee in is actually an old cigar box. I got it in Memphis, Tennessee at a cigar shop for $3, and it's really cool. And it seats a few bags of coffee in my grinder.
It's the grinder is kind of like broken up.
It's a grinder.
Like that, and it fits in really well. I saw it over there. It looks nice.
You jelly?
Nah. I've got my coffee bag over here.
Yeah. So I think how we should approach this subject is I would like for you to pitch a solution to the slump, and then I will pitch a solution to the slump.
So
and we'll go back and forth.
Yeah. So to get over a slump, I would suggest trying a plethora of things. First, try tricks that you're not. Maybe tricks that you're not usually trying to do. Get creative with the tricks. It's a good way to get over a slump. If you're not progressing on, maybe you're grinding, you can't hit triple lunar flip. That's the one. Start going for string tricks, spacewalk tricks.
I 100% agree with this. And I would say even branching off of that, instead of simply saying try new tricks, just try new. Just do something different,
creative.
And
fresh.
And for me, I'm thinking, and maybe I'm getting into this too early, and we could really drag that out a little bit, but a different place. And we talked about this, and
your jam spot.
Yeah, do something different. Especially if say you're cooped up inside a lot.
Which is also, this really ties into everything we've talked about.
Yeah.
Because even film spots.
How more appropriate for the ending of a season.
It really is. How many people film in the same spot in
literally
their house
all the time.
Or outside? Now, I know I'm guilty of my spots, but...
It's convenient. But sometimes
it's convenient.
It's worth to be inconvenienced.
Sometimes it's stagnant, though.
Yeah.
And, if that is your jam zone.
I think you can get entrenched in a mindset because of your environment. And I saw this personally a lot whenever I was in college. I found it, and it's funny, we lived together in the apartment, and it was easy to just come back to the apartment, and it was the place you lived, it was the place you played, it was the place you worked, and it was the place you did your school. And after a while, I started to realize, I was like, I'm having a hard time separating all of them. I'd have to work on the computer, and I'd get pulled into League of Legends or something like that.
Yeah.
Because I was like, oh, I'll just tab over, hit one real quick, and the next thing you know, you spent 6 hours studying, and you didn't accomplish anything. And so, like, moving to a different...
Now you have a much different... You've got home, work, you've got the gym, you've got...
Your areas of work.
Yeah.
And it's so true that your mindset shifts in that way. And so I think... For example, if you've gone a week grinding on a trick on your front porch filming, your mindset could not be in the best of shape. And so if you suddenly go to like down in your city and you find a neat building with graffiti on the side and you're like, you just had a little bit of coffee or something like that and you're just like, I'm feeling good. Don't go back to your front porch.
Yeah.
Don't do it.
Switch up the routine, man.
Change up the routine.
Film spots, tricks. You mentioned this before we started filming. Change the dama. Maybe it's the dama. You know, using that same kendama over and over again. That might.
And this could go either
prevent
way.
You from. Yeah.
But maybe you got Old Faithful that you haven't been playing with, and you've been kind of breaking a new one.
Old Faithful. We need to name a kendama.
That's a really good name.
Here on Coffeehouse.
How did I not think of that sooner? I'm ashamed of
Old
myself.
Faithful.
Old Faithful. I mean,
that is good.
That'd be good for a new pioneer, honestly.
It's coming soon.
Yeah, copyright. That'd be...
People like, did I hear pioneer?
Knowing how long it takes to make kendamas, it's like, okay, you can expect that in August. So get ready. I like the idea of playing with a new kendama. The only risk of that is getting used to playing with a particular one and the feel and
and not everybody has access to getting
just be able
fresh
to
kendama.
pop off.
Yeah. So.
And I hate to even make it sound like it's kind of salesy, but like totally, like it can help a lot.
It really can.
So I guess it's my turn to pitch something, and I think this one is a bit backwards, a little bit of approach.
Maybe that's what you need to keep it fresh.
So here's
look at it from a different perspective.
Take a little break. So that's my pitch.
I've heard that. Yeah.
So I'd say, like, I mean, if it's a day, if it's 3 days, if it's a week, just cool off. Like, I mean, sometimes it can just be a bit much if you're just grinding super hard and it becomes like a job. Like,
again, don't burn out.
Kendama's about fun. I mean, okay, you let's say you finally land the trick you've been working on for a month, but now you no longer want to play kendama. Is it worth it? That was the last trick I landed before I quit. It's not something you want to say.
I've never heard it, so that's good. But
okay. So that's because, have you ever been in a slump?
I have not been in a slump, but
how do you attribute your ongoingness of kendama to not being in a slump? Because you, more than anything, have surrounded yourself in kendama.
Yeah. So I guess reflecting back on the early days, I mean, I had, again, my 2 local friends that played kendama. Aside from that, kendama was like a very online thing for me, and like meeting people through making videos and sharing them online was pretty big. And then going to contests and events got me more deeply involved, and it was kind of like, yeah, kendama is fun, but man, these people that I'm meeting and friends that I'm making through traveling to events and going places is what really, it's kind of like at the end of the day.
That took it to the next level.
Yeah, at the end of the day, it's like now I'm almost like progressing and pushing myself to do better. So when I show up to events, hopefully I'm doing better, but also, that community of players is what really has always drive me.
You know what's funny?
To not, I guess I've never been in a slump because I'm always so eager to see everyone again. I think
you naturally kind of implement these ideas into your routines anyway, or your non-routines, and so that, like, personally, you just, like, you're a people person, so you want to experience new people, and, like, you like to go visit and find new spots, and, like, so I think it naturally occurs to you, but what's funny to me is, and I'm keyed into the kendama community, I pay very close attention, my finger's on the pulse, but it still cracks me up how you can come up with a trick and post on Instagram, and there's so many people who are like, yo, that's so sick, how'd you lace that, that kind of thing, and it just makes me laugh so much because, like, it's been like a decade that you've been playing, and it's like still like,
yo,
people are jazzed on.
Yeah,
fire.
I mean, yeah, there's a lot of situations where that's not the case, and I don't know, it's, again, you get in what you put out. We've talked about that as well. This whole episode is kind of just a big summary of what we've talked about. Like, I'm talking about going to events is a good way to stay out of a slump, switching up film spots, switching kendamas, making friends, that kind of thing is so crucial. Being creative.
There's a lot at play.
There is a lot at play, and like you said, looking at it from a different perspective, maybe just taking a break is a good way to kind of clear your head and
just to go back to like the fitness analogy, or not even an analogy, just a direct comparison. I've noticed in the past, and it's worked in my favor, that I would not burn out from the gym, but like sometimes you just get super sore. Sometimes you hit it really hard.
Physically burn out.
Yeah,
right?
like you'll go like really hard for a few weeks, and it kind of catches up to you, or like work gets in the way, or school gets in the way, or social life gets in the way of going to the gym, and you notice, hey, I've missed the gym for 7 days in a row. I'm not gone at all. Yeah, and I think that I feel that naturally, but one time, and the most I've done on my bench was immediately after a break.
Yeah,
and
that feels good.
I think what happened was, I mean, just in terms for anyone who cares, I kind of was able to re-nutrient myself up. I mean, I kind of built myself up in terms of like what I was consuming. And I got enough rest, which is major key, got enough water, food, and everything, for a full week. And I didn't challenge my body or break down any of the muscles in the meantime. And so when I came back, it was like, let's go! You know, it's like the Hulk was going on in this right here. And
muscles were just shot. And
so I
back.
really think that applies to kendama.
And hey, maybe you're just not drinking enough water. Maybe, you know what I mean. Get sleep, eat well, drink well, and maybe you're going to get through that slump. I really believe that people underestimate the value of like good diet. I mean, you hear it, but like good diet, good sleep, hydration. Literally, your whole life changes when you actually just like drink a gallon of water a day. It's crazy.
Get 8 hours of sleep, and life is fulfilling.
You and I have been really good about staying hydrated recently. You know,
I'm a drinker.
Having that mindfulness of you know, staying hydrated, and it's important.
I love water. If you don't like water, a lot of people are really like hesitant to drink a lot of water because they say it has no taste. I understand where you're coming from. You honestly probably drink too much soda. But if you want to start drinking more water, you should do this. Cut up some cucumbers, cut up a lime, and just throw them in a bottle, like a shaker bottle, and just refill throughout the day. It's the best thing ever. It is so good.
Never tried that.
I love it's so good. I've got some in the fridge right now.
Might have to drink some of that later.
Take some on the way home. But so if you like want to start getting into drinking water and stuff, the tasting notes you should be looking for is cucumber and lime. Super good.
Yeah, I guess filtered water is ideally the best, most pure.
I need my fluoride. My teeth got to stay protected.
Let's see. Let's think. Are there any other?
Yeah, for sure. So I think like ultimately this has all come back to like how you feel. And so I would say it's kind of revolves around your feelings, and it's easy to say, and I think some people experience this in a different way, in different ways. But if you can prevent yourself from feeling frustrated, I think that's the biggest thing. And going back to tennis again, because you know I love to just shoehorn in other things of discussion in Coffeehouse. There's something called going on tilt, and I think this originated from ping pong, or not ping pong. My brain right now, the arcade game.
Billiards? Oh, or pinball.
Pinball.
Ping pong, pinball. It's funny because tennis and ping pong are table tennis.
I think that must have been where my head went. What's the P game that's kind of...
Yeah.
Pinball. So pinball, what will happen, especially, this is funny, even on Space Invaders on the Windows game, is you can press a key to shake the table. And what happens if you if you shake the table too much, it tilts. And it locks out your controls because it doesn't want someone to cheat on the pinball table to knock it into certain things. And so you do that and it locks the paddles.
But it's all digital?
Yeah, it's digital, but that's what's so funny. So the term tilt means to kind of go past the point of no return, and it affects your performance. So if I went on tilt in tennis, and this happened when I was younger because I wasn't self-aware enough to understand my emotions and the impact on the game. If you get too frustrated, you mentally trap yourself and you begin to overthink, and you create a pattern of mistakes, which routinely puts you in a negative thought pattern, and it causes you to just continually make those same mistakes, and it just keeps snowballing out of control. Next thing you know, you lost to some guy who's not that good at tennis, and you're salty about it for the next week. That wasn't a personal experience, just a thought, but I think the same thing can happen in kendama, where you can go on tilt, and so you have to once again plays an environment, but you have to prevent yourself from getting frustrated. And I have some tips on that, but I just want to know your thoughts.
Yeah. Don't go on tilt. I mean, I guess for me,
frustration.
Talking about frustration, you can see grinding for one trick for a long period of time could result in that. And I guess for me, I've only really got frustrated when trying to film a trick, not when just trying to personally hit that trick.
Because you're considering like the battery life and time of day.
Yeah, like you're running out of sunlight, and maybe it was the perfect shot, the perfect time, and you know you're not going to be able to get that again.
And you failed.
Maybe you do fail. I know oftentimes I'm trying a trick for the first time on camera. Maybe I need to do that off camera, you know, and then go back and revisit.
Yeah, but your odds are so much better catching it on camera if you're just...
Yeah, or if you land it on camera, you've got it. You don't, you know, it's kind of like it's behind you at that point. But I don't know that I've been frustrated outside of filming.
Yeah. Yeah, so
maybe a little bit in competition when you know you're capable of doing something.
It just, yeah.
And you can't do it due to like nerves, or just maybe you purely just miss, and that's it.
Just bummer.
Again, it doesn't have to be competitive for everybody. And when filming, I mean, you don't, you know, again, like we started playing kendama without the aspect of filming, posting tricks. Like, it was fun, you know, and so always my best piece of encouragement at frustration is go back to the roots of why you started and revisit that idea. It's just a fun game.
And for me, when I was kind of figuring out the tennis thing, dealing with the negative thought pattern is you have to be aware of how you're feeling, and I mean that sounds like a stupid way of saying it, but I think it's like a lot of people just don't think about it. It's just you just react. Where if you're thinking about how you feel and like what's particularly causing it, you have to interrupt yourself and change the way you're thinking about it. I think this works on so many things, and like this is a huge strategy for me all over my life. But like if you interrupt the negative thought, you're going for a gunslinger and you keep catching your thumb on it, or you keep catching your pointer finger on it, or something like that over and over again, in your head you're saying you're an idiot, or like why are you so bad at kendama, like all this kind of stuff. You have to cut it out because it hurts you so much worse. It literally makes your next 5 tries worse because of that particular thought. And I really think if you like shift that into something like you'll get it next time, like we can do better, like that kind of thing, I think it just saves you a lot of trouble, a lot of frustration, and it makes you, I mean ultimately it prevents you from getting in a rut. And so that's kind of just my kind of key thoughts on that. And once again, I think you can apply that to everything. I mean, I try to apply it to everything. But one other thing we were going to mention was for Keegan, how to grow your local scene. And I think this ties in really well to staying out of a slump. Because I think it shifts your focus from, and I think
it goes from personal progression to community progression.
Yeah, it's like more selfless, right? I mean, it's not about you anymore. I think it's more about giving, and it always feels better. I mean, at least for me, to give instead of receive. And so I think when you're thinking about like a kendama slump, of course, it feels better to like break out of a slump by giving to other people. And so like if you can grow your scene and put your energy into that, there's no way you can't feel better.
Yeah, and down there again, it's you get in what you put out. Like you're gonna have a local scene. Maybe you start up a jam. Maybe Kendama Pro comes to your town because of the scene you've helped to create and grow. And again, positives across the board. And
I think like what happens in the future is if you get into a slump in the future, you kind of have people you can rely on and receive support from. Even if it just means going over to hang out, and even if it's not playing kendama, you've got a friend that you can kick it with and watch Netflix or whatever else, or just eat off a cheese board, or just like
that's fancy.
Stack some cards together. You'd think it'd be fancy. Yeah. Just go to Kroger, buy some pepper jack cheese and like some other stuff.
Some crackers.
Not a big deal. Grapes, figs.
Yeah.
Smear some jam across it. I don't know. But you can totally do it. It's
I have
really
a friend.
good.
I have a friend like that. We've had fruit.
You have a cheese board friend?
Oh no, well it was fruit, but I think he probably had some cheese.
That's a bit healthier, I think.
Yeah, it was nice. I think it's funny, and maybe people notice this as well. Maybe the people tuned into this are more along the thought process that you have, and you're more analytical and intellectual. You think about things and then apply them to how you do things. I am more on the just do, try.
Like you just know it here.
Yeah, and maybe I don't think so much about things until I talk to you about them, and then you kind of break it down, and you're like, hey, like, what did you think about doing this? Or you'll say, maybe you were doing this instinctively, or just thought of that, and that's why it resulted that way. And maybe some of the people watching are more like me, where it's just kind of like...
And so having someone to talk to...
Always like a gut type feeling.
Yeah. And so having someone to talk to can help, because it can...
Maybe someone more intellectual, or the vice versa too.
Yeah, that's true. You can
maybe you overthink, and I'm just like, dude, just
do it. Yeah. I hate that advice, but like, it's so true though.
Maybe it's like in some
it's like,
ways,
how do you go to the gym so often? Just do it.
Yeah, I don't know.
So a lot of people say I'm not motivated. But it's not about motivation.
I get motivated when I get in there.
It's not about motivation. It's about discipline. Yeah. It's about just going and just doing it. And so, yeah, I think there's a balance. And, like, ultimately, I think what you were getting at was, like, when you have this kind of support system in place, probably or preferably that you've built, you can rely on each other and share these thoughts. And, like, different people just inspire different things within each other. And so I think that, like, is major key. Major key.
DJ Kevin.
I think we kind of hit all the highlights today, and I'm excited to film the next episode, which is going to be episode 10, the final of the season, wrapping it up.
Q&A, baby.
Q&A.
Which I think we'll pull from Instagram.
I'd like to, through the week, I'd like to poll, and so I think we're going to do that, and so look for that. I just want to compliment you on your beautiful sweatshirt here. What is that?
Thank you. This is the Soul Set crew neck. Shelton designed this, actually.
I didn't know that.
Yeah. One thing that I learned about doing Coffeehouse so far, coming up with topics, initially it was easy because there was nothing.
There was so much to talk about.
And then like, man, the topics, like, what do we talk about? What do we talk about? And then I was like, what do I wear? Like, I just like, I got to make sure I don't wear the same clothes in every episode. And I think I've done a pretty decent job.
I'm dressed for work right now because it's currently 7:20 and I got to be at work. I mean, I should be at work by 8, but I'm going to get there. I mean, by 8, yes.
Before.
Before 8.
You'll be there before 8.
Hopefully, yeah. So I'm just dressed for work. So I mean, at that point, I'm kind of throwing it out the window.
Yeah, and so, yeah, for me, I was like, man, I just gotta, but this, I haven't worn this yet.
I also think another thing
today it's supposed to get up to like 70
degrees here. Lord.
And so, where it has been like the 20s to 40s, and so I was like, this is my last opportunity to wear the long sleeve.
Am I the only one who vibes with the weather so much? Like, my mood is reflective in some sense of how
maybe your slump is relevant to the weather.
Honestly, I literally wake up. I wake up and based on how I feel, I know how the weather's going to be. I'm not kidding. Like, there's a weird clairvoyance about that. I might sleep too close to the window.
What's your I can't even think of it. I'm a Gemini. What is your
Are we talking about
horoscope?
Astrology?
Yeah, maybe it's all relevant to when you were born.
I'm the fish, so it's the Pisces. I don't know how
maybe Pisces are with the weather. Someone fact check us on that, but
I've got a rain meter on the back of my head. Like, if it's rainy and cold and I wake up and I'm like, ugh, I just know. I was like, unfortunately, it's a bad day. We're gonna make the most of it. Yeah, but we've had so much fun filming all these episodes, and like, we're gonna come back with more ideas. I think we've kind of we've pushed ourselves. I'm proud of us.
Yeah.
I mean, I really am. Like, it's hard to do an episode every week. I was surprised. I was like, it's going to be cake. And, like, here we are. And it's, like, early morning before work. Chad's in between traveling on the weekends, and I've got to squeeze in an edit. And, I mean, I got to edit this.
Coming up for you.
That's right. It's about to get busy at work, and so we're making things happen. But I appreciate you guys tagging along for the full extent of it. Episode 10, we're going to kind of shake it up. We're going to think of something kind of creative, I think, and film it next week.
Yeah, I guess let's leave you guys with some encouragement. Switch up the routine, get creative.
Take a break.
Do something cool, interesting,
build in your
innovative.
Local community.
Don't overthink it.
Talk to people.
Go out and do it. There's so much you can do just from this episode. Take some of that
and run with it. Positive thinking. Will it into existence. Big believer in that.
Yeah.
We appreciate.
Can I do the tags in this one?
Yeah, we appreciate you guys so much. Thank you so much for tagging along and talking to us and everything else.
If you want to follow us on Instagram at Shelton III, at Chad Covington, and at Soul Kendamas.
I just love. This is the first time mine's been introduced first.
Hey, that's
I've literally always done you
switch it up.
first. I don't know.
You know, that's just
Can we
kinda,
redink it?
You know what I mean? Redink it. I already sank it.
Thanks,
but
guys. Fun.